And I'm back, just like that. I was gone for a little bit there. Pardon me for the extended break, but here we are again. I've been getting a ton of questions from you guys, and they're coming from LinkedIn, they're coming from YouTube, they're coming from Facebook. You guys have been asking fantastic questions all over, and if you've got questions of your own you'd like answered, be sure to leave them down in the comments below or reach out to me at jason@codingcareerfastlane.com. I'll also leave some other links in the comments of how to really get in touch. I've been working on a group lately, been working on the LinkedIn community, lots of really good stuff there. But today is all about this question right here. When is the best time to apply for people who are still in the boot camp and not finished the program yet? And you see a lot of people agreed with this, and I thought it was a fantastic question. I really do. I'm excited to talk about it today because this isn't the first time. But as this came across my radar, it's like, why not do a video? Why not jump back on? Because you guys have been asking for it. So let's talk about it today. But right before we jump into that, if you like content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe notification bell down below, and also give the video a thumbs up if you like the content in the end, because every little interaction helps the algorithm, helps this message get out there. Let's jump into this today because I know there's a lot of you probably wondering, when should I apply? And I'm going to break it down. I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible. You can apply when you have the bare minimum. We're going to talk about what you should have, but we're also going to talk the bare minimum to start because I want to get you a number right away that helps you out. But to be clear, as we get going with this, you should always focus on learning first. Because if you deviate away from learning to try to focus on your resume and your LinkedIn, well, you're only going to take away from something you'll never get back, which is that time you spent in the boot camp. Yeah, I guess you could go to another boot camp, but you don't want to do that. So make sure no matter what I say today, do not take away from your education. Stay focused on that. And if you realize this other stuff you're about to add on is going to take away, then don't do it yet. Finish your boot camp before applying. The bare minimum is having your resume and your LinkedIn done. You can start to apply when you have those two things. A good number that I can see and have seen before is you can start applying about halfway through your program. But to start applying, you have to have your resume complete along with your LinkedIn. I don't take anything less than that because your LinkedIn generally gets viewed on a resume like that. But your GitHub and your portfolio don't always get viewed. And that's why we can leave those two things to the side for the moment. And since we're halfway in the program, those things probably aren't done just yet. But in our resume, at this halfway point, we can start applying. I've seen this happen before. One of my own students who's now been in the job about 2 years now, he did this back at our old boot camp where I used to work at and he attended, and he got a job about 4 months in. He was only applying for about a month and was able to show people and drive people value, actually a large bank, some value to get them to hire him. Now, that's not like everybody. That doesn't happen to a lot of people. And that didn't happen in COVID. That happened when the job market was actually very hot for boot camp grads. Not as hot right now. But with the bare minimum, what you need in your resume is you need to drive value. You need to articulate a story that shows how you can come provide value to an employer. You don't just get to list off a bunch of projects and a bunch of skills. That doesn't work. You have to drive value, and then you have to prove the value you can drive. And you can prove it lots of different ways. Your projects, how you sell things, how you measure it, proof in actual links, code. Now, at this point, right, that stuff isn't up yet. So what we have to really focus on this part of the resume is to make sure I like a good summary, because you can really articulate your story in a summary, and then a skill set. You have your education, and you have listed out some of your projects. Now, we just said we haven't completed them yet, but we can talk to them. We can talk about the things we're working on, talk about the things we're doing. And at 3-month mark, you've generally learned enough to be, you could say, dangerous. And you can put on your projects on there and say what you're going to use and how that's going to help. Now, your LinkedIn needs to be updated from your resume. So when you get your resume completed, you can go put it over there. But then you've got to make sure you've optimized your headline with the right keywords. If you want to know more on keywords and stuff like that, I got a webinar that's recorded. You can go watch it anytime down below. Your keywords have to be optimized. Your summary has to be updated correctly. You have to be engaging with people. You have to be connecting. You have to be updated all your skills, and pay attention then to make sure what you put in your resume or put in your LinkedIn is getting the attention you want. And check out your profile views, check out your search appearances, and make sure you're getting the attention you're looking for. Because if you go look at that right now, you can click on the view profile, search appearances, and scroll down below. You'll see the percentage of people you're getting. If you're not getting any recruiters, what you wrote in your resume isn't going to get the job done, because you need to attract recruiters and software engineers. Now, this is the bare minimum. If you can get those two things done, which will take some time, then you can start applying. I do warn you though, this is the bare minimum. This is really only necessary if you are desperate for a job, or you just really want to get out there and you have some extra time and you've been crushed on the program. Otherwise, I would focus on you finishing up the program. You can probably around the 75% mark or a little bit closer to the end, maybe think about kickstarting your applications. But now you have to add in two more things. You have to add in your portfolio being done. You have to have them deployed to Netlify, Heroku, wherever it is you are. You have to have the code up there presentable. You have to have good documentation. You have to have some tests. There's a lot that go into that. And then you have to update your GitHub, right? There you've seen now probably that new README at the top of your GitHub that you're allotted piece of real estate for you to sell yourself. And at the same time, you've got to pin the repositories you want me as a hiring manager to come look at. You also have the ability to put a link on the left-hand side to a website, an email. Where can I come find you? What should I come look at? Up to you to articulate where you want me to go. You have about, I think it's like 20 words to say in there. You also have a status you can utilize. You have a contribution chart. Prove to me you can drive me value through your code. Now, your GitHub will generally lead to your projects, and your projects will generally lead to your GitHub. That's why this is the next most important part, because if you've done the resume and the LinkedIn, well, now you've got these two important parts. And even then, the links you now have, you need to make sure they end up in your resume and end up in your LinkedIn. And so you see how this is full circle. All four of these things right here are going to drive you value. And this is ultimately going to be your brand. What does your brand say? And is it consistent across the entire profile? Something I see all the time that really kind of bothers me when I generally tell people when I see it, if I see full stack developer on your LinkedIn, but I go to your resume and see web developer, and then I go to your project, your GitHub, wherever it is, and says software engineer, I'm going to have a problem with you, because your brand is not consistent. Not necessarily from like a hiring manager perspective do I care, but from a personal, like a coach perspective, I care, because you're only affecting your results, because now you're not search engine optimized, because the engine probably thinks you're all over the place. It thinks, well, they don't know what they call themselves. Are they part this, part that, and part that? And maybe you'll be found a little bit on all of them, but you'll never truly be successful at one keyword, at one job title, at one thing you want to head towards. You'll generally dilute yourself out there in the market, which we don't really want. Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at to say today is this. If you are in the middle of your program and you really need to get out there, you can focus on a resume and your LinkedIn and get out there and start applying halfway through if you need to. If you have another scenario where you have the ability to take a little time and finish and focus on learning, then you can apply at the end of your boot camp. And you have to have the rest of the portfolio in there, the portfolio, the GitHub, along with the resume and LinkedIn. But what I would suggest for you to do is to around 50% of the boot camp, halfway through, start thinking about, do you have enough to put on your resume? And what could you start doing the rest of the way to make a killer resume? What projects could you work on? What ideas could you take on? What technologies could you learn in this time that would be well articulated in a resume, in a LinkedIn, in a portfolio? Here's how you know what to pick. There's a video I have on my channel called Knowing What the Jobs Want. Go watch that. Understand what your market's telling you you need to have and what you want in your market, because your market will tell you everything you should be putting in your resume. And so at this halfway mark, when you have a weekend, a Saturday, I want you to sit down and watch that video, spend the hour it takes to kind of articulate or to pull in the data. Once you pull it in, Look at what are they asking of me? What do I have now? What could I learn in the next 6 to 12 weeks to really impact my job search by being able to add these things to my resume or being able to build a project out of these skills? And that's where you take this data and you think about it in all those 4 areas. You think about how can you most impact your resume? How can you most impact your LinkedIn, your portfolios, your GitHub? And that's what you do. And I say halfway through the program because I don't need you to do it halfway. I really don't want you applying at the bare minimum. I want you looking at it and understanding what do you have to do so that at 75% left, or when you've completed 75% of the program, you kind of have an idea that you've been heading towards this whole time, and you can check back in when you're 4 to 6 weeks out from completing and understand, is there anything else I can add? I know I've been adding the right skills. Have I missed anything? Great. I can start working at the 75% mark as well, too, on writing my resume down and writing down these skills I've been purposely putting in, working on. And then at the 100% mark, that's when you can go full on steam ahead at doing your resume and your LinkedIn. I say generally wait till the end, because if you've planned accordingly from the 50% mark ahead and on, you've been building all the stuff that will show how you drive value. And if you show how to drive value, when you flip that switch on and you start networking and you start utilizing your LinkedIn and your resume and your portfolio and your GitHub, you will start to see more attention than anyone else you know next to you. Yes, they might have gotten a couple more interviews already because they've been doing it for 3 months, but they are going to be a watered down version of what they could have been. Now, yeah, they can always correct it. They can always work on it. But think about now, they didn't spend their time most effectively. Maybe they did. More often than not, they didn't. And you did. And now when you get to here, you can spend a couple days on your resume, a couple days clean up your portfolio, and within 1 week of graduating your program, you can be ready to rock and roll. Now that's going to do it for this video. I know I probably gave a ton there, more than you were looking for, but I know it's going to help. I know it's going to drive you value because you're going to drive value in your portfolio, your entire portfolio. If you got any questions, feel free to leave them down below. If there's another topic you want me to cover, find me on LinkedIn, email me, either works. LinkedIn's probably one of the best places to find me. I also have a new group I want you to check out. I'm going to leave a link for that down below. Lots of good stuff coming out this way, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Have a great rest of your day, and remember, apply when you're ready. Apply when you need to, and at the bare minimum, make sure you have your resume, your LinkedIn, your portfolio, and your GitHub done that drives value to other people.